And yes, we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome to this edition of Upskilling 5 Million African Freelancers in 5 Years. I hope you're doing good. We sincerely apologize for starting behind schedule. We had some technical issues, but we are fixed up and we are ready to go. All right, how are you? Good morning and welcome. As you know, I am your regular host, and my name is Oge Mark. And today we'll be talking to a certain person who is a professional in his field. And also, our topic for today is information design. You want to have a career, or you don't exactly have a thought on what category or what sector of remote work you want to get involved in. Remote information design is something you want to get involved in. So we have our guests already and set to take on the day. So welcome wherever you are joining us from, all over the world, from Nigeria, Africa, West Africa, South Africa, Europe, Canada, America, wherever you're welcome. Good morning. And thank you so much for joining us. Now, don't forget to share the link to your contact list so they know exactly what is going on. And don't forget, this program is powered by SourceIn Business. May I remind you that SourceIn Business Mentorship Program, which is absolutely free, I might add, is concluding its stream on the 28th of May this month, and a new stream will begin next month. So, if you want to build a career in freelancing, in remote work, you want to gain the skill, upskill yourself, learn something new, then you must get on this particular new stream, which is going to be happening in June. Okay. This stream is going to be ending on the 28th of May, and the new stream will be beginning in June. So get on. This is an opportunity you cannot afford to miss because it's absolutely free. You have access to free mentors, free tutors. Literally everything you need to build a career in freelancing and remote work is absolutely free. All right, the platform is free, and of course, they build you, train you, upskill you, and then throw you literally into the market and empower you to be able to earn a living on the global market as a freelancer in remote work. Okay. All right. I have with me today a very interesting guest. His name is Ayola Agbola. Agbola Johnson. I hope I got that correct. Ayo Agbola Johnson. Hello, good morning, and welcome.
Hi, okay, good morning, and
How are
thank you
you
for
doing?
having me. I'm good.
Okay. So may I refer to you as Mr. Johnson for this duration of time?
Well, of course you can.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Johnson, so I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience today.
Okay, like Ogie rightly said, my name is Ayo Agbola Johnson. I'm a documentation expert. I live in Lagos, Nigeria, but my specialty area is in information design and data visualization. So I help organizations and individuals mostly create business documents. So we create business documents and we visualize data and so business documents across things like pitch deck, business plan, business proposals, and especially other specific visualization requirements. So basically, that's what I do. And currently, I run a company called Document Design Lab, where
Okay.
we prioritize in making information to be easy to understand, and also we make information engaging, lively, and exciting for readers or users. So we consider that it's not enough to just put out content. You need to ensure that the content you're putting out there is meeting the reading need of the specific audience that you're trying to reach.
Mm.
Okay,
I have never heard a career or someone who says that he's a documentation expert, a Nigerian for
I
that
didn't hear
matter.
that.
I
I
have
didn't hear
never
that.
heard. I have never heard a Nigerian who say that he is a documentation expert, especially here in Nigeria.
Okay.
You know. So, how did you come about that journey? How did you say, you know what, I want to be a documentation expert? How did you come about that journey?
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, I think the
Mhm.
network is a bit bad here. So if I heard you correctly, you said, you've not heard of a Nigerian that say I'm a documentation expert. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth is, yeah, it's one of the emerging career paths, and
Okay.
I just feel that. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so it's one of the emerging career paths, and I just
Okay.
feel that
All right.
that's
We're
the
just going
reason.
to. Okay, the connection is probably a little bit shaky, but not to worry. Mr. Johnson will join us shortly. So wherever you're joining us from, thank you so much for joining us. And we are live on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook at LinkedIn, Facebook on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So you literally can connect with us everywhere. So just all you need to do is just share the link on your contact list, and when so that they know exactly what's going on. Like I said before we began this session, the latest stream will begin in June. You have access to tutors, mentors for free for a duration of time. All right. So we have Mr. Johnson back. You're welcome back.
Hi, thank you, Oge. Apologies. My network is a bit fluctuating here, so sorry
Okay,
about that.
that's fine. All right. So you can tell us about how you began your journey into being a documentation expert,
Okay.
or a
Yes, so
specialist.
just a brief one was the fact
Okay.
that I've had a background in L&D, that is learning and development, in my
Okay.
earlier stage in the earlier stage of my career, where I worked in an organization where I had to prepare training content and all of that. And so I took interest in making sure that when content had been prepared, um, I pay more attention to understand who is going to be the user of my content. So, and then sometimes I have to do training proposals to clients that are looking for our training services. So I remember one of those incidents where I did a proposal and I sent to a brand, a company that were looking for us to come and train their agents. So then they had all of these what do you call them now? They call them this money what do you call this banking agency. Yes, banking agency. So they have some agency all over the country, and we were supposed to train the agent. So the first thing they asked us was to send a proposal. So I did a proposal on behalf of the company I worked for. So
Mm-hmm.
after I sent the proposal to the client called my boss and said, anybody that prepared this proposal can handle the job. I would like to speak with the person. And so I happened to be the L&D manager at the time. And my boss called for a meeting. So my boss and the other partner. So we had a conference call with the client. And the client was so impressed at the organization of the proposal, the everything, the look and feel and all that. So I began to see that, okay, these things that I do on the side, it's not just something to be taken for granted. So I dove into it and I saw that there's actually a need for effective documentation in the corporate landscape. A lot of people have business needs and they need, okay, just for instance, you see the IT companies, sometimes they have documentation that they want it to be more like end user documentation. So documentation
Mm-hmm.
that are meant for the end users. The most important thing you must um, put into consideration is what is the most important message, and you are able to help the reading journey for the user to be able to get what is the most important for them in that document. So I pay so much attention to that, and that actually started getting me some recognition in the company, even outside. Sometimes I had a situation where the company don't send out end user and user facing document without passing through my desk. So it now became a routine. So whenever a document is going out to important client, they send it to me first, even if it's not my department. I was in L&D. So the company was a consulting company. So they had L&D, they had HR, and they also had financial advisory. Now, So any of the document, they had consulting core. So any of the document that each of these business units they create, as long as it's going to clients, they send it to me to do more of the formatting, alignment, and all of those things to give it the look and feel. And so I saw that it was actually a need. Even at the time, the company I was working for, they were ready to have a contract engagement with me on documentation, even while I was still full-time staff in the firm. And the other of my colleagues come to me for trainings and all of that. So I decided that, okay, I was going to do more study, more training, more learning. And since then, I decided to make a career out of information design. And then recently, I added data visualization as part of the competency to enhance my output. Yeah,
So
so it's an
basically,
interesting career path.
this is inborn. This is inborn, and it just came out in the
Mm.
course of you doing your regular job.
Yeah, so I think I would say it was inborn, but I would say it was born out of necessity. There was a need for it. So there was a
Okay.
need for it. I only responded to the need at that particular time. And as I responded to it, more demand. So it's like there was an opportunity and I stepped into the stage and people saw that, okay, there's somebody that can meet up with this challenge and more demand of it started coming. And in the recent time, it's been an amazing one.
When you talk about earlier on when you were introducing yourself and talking about what you did for a living, you mentioned breaking down information, you know, documentation so that
Yeah.
people can understand. So, in other words, there are certain informations that people who are sending out messages are putting out, but the person or the people, the group of people, the demographic that the message is meant for, do not understand the message. So,
Yes.
from your
So you see,
expertise,
okay,
right?
please go ahead.
What are the key things to determine and to say, okay, this message can be understood, or people can understand the message, or the person or the people this information is for, they really can't get the message.
Okay, so over the years, I have found certain strategy that work for me when I'm documenting.
Okay.
So the first thing I have at the back of my mind is clarity. There are
Oh,
principles to apply in documentation that can help you achieve clarity. Now, when you're passing a message um, to certain users or audiences, you must first clear what is the message I'm trying to convey. Now, when you put this message in a document, you have to also ensure that the client or the users can find important information in the document, meaning that you position relevant information in certain strategic location within that document in such that navigating through the document or the content will be easy for the user. So there are three things an effective document should do to the reader. Number one, it must be easy to read. Number two, it must be easy to understand. And number three, it must be accessible. Meaning that if you have sent me information or document, a piece, I want so I should not be stressing to find out what you're trying to say. Number one, that is clarity. Number two, I shouldn't stress to find I shouldn't stress to understand. For instance, if you say that you offer three major type of services, I should not stress understanding or finding that three services that you have mentioned. Now, if the three services have subtracts, I should not stress to understand and find the subtracts of those things within the document. So, and the last part is accessibility. It means that now one of my secret also is that I don't do any document without an outline. So my users should be able to navigate using the outline and the page number I have provided. So as simple as an outline is, what an outline does is structure. It gives structure to your documentation. So meaning that I don't have to go and be looking for your executive summary. or your business description, if it was a proposal or a business plan, I don't have to struggle or stress myself to go and be looking for what page is it. If I go to your content outline, I can see that, okay, your executive summary is on page 5 of this document. I just scroll to page 5 and I can get what I want. Now, when I get there, there is what we call structure. Now, the structure actually starts from the cover page of whatever document you're working on to the last page. So how you lay out this content is important to the user. So I should be able to quick shot or in a snapshot approach, I can get what I want and get out. People don't have time, and so you must help them save time by structuring your content properly for effectiveness.
That's another question I was going to ask you. We live in an era where information, absorbing information, it's really difficult for many people. People have a very short attention span, and so when you bring out information,
Fun.
especially one that is very lengthy, what are the key things that needs to be done to be on that document, on that information, to help people, especially in this generation where the attention span is very little. People are impatient. People cannot go through the rigors of reading and understanding. So, what are the things, key component that needs to be contained in a document to be able to maintain and sustain interest so that they can actually go through that information or that document and get the information that they are supposed to get?
Yes. Thank you for that question. Now, if you want your document to get good readership, you must, like, those three things I mentioned are fundamentals. They're
Okay.
fundamental principles: clarity, structure, and formatting. Those are very key. Number one, the message is clear. Clarity means, for instance, how I title the page of my the front page or the title of the document I'm working on is very key. So I said, this proposal, this is a proposal. So first, there are different types and tons of documents. Now, you don't start a document by just going to the title and then moving on. No. What type of document is it? This is a proposal. Then what is the title of this proposal? Sustainability in agriculture. So that is a proposal. So we are proposing a sustainability in agricultural practice. So we are now saying that that proposal is on sustainability. So is it sustainability and agriculture? That is the title. Now, what is it about sustainability and agriculture? We now say something like, this document outline strategies to promote equip farmers or agricultural entrepreneur, agri entrepreneur, on how to integrate sustainability into their practice. Now, just these three things I've mentioned. Number one, it's a proposal. There's a proposal there. Number two, the title is sustainability in agriculture. Number three, that is the title. And number three is the subtitle. Subtitle is explaining or buttressing the title of the document, which is sustainability in agriculture. So we're now saying this proposal outline, for instance, strategies for agri entrepreneurs to integrate sustainability into their practice. Now, if I get that document, by you breaking down these things, and there are also ways you can ensure that messages that are important are properly highlighted so that it helps the reading journey of the reader. Now, so if I have in mind this structure and I follow it, because number one, you must be reader centric. Like me, the end user, you have to write from the user's point of view. So you start with what the reader needs to know in mind. Why? In fact, from your titling of the document, it must be from the reader point of view. So now this is a key, because see, the cost of your customer getting the wrong message is more expensive than you ensuring that you get the right documentation done. People don't know this, but it's very important. Then the second thing is this: you write less, write less, write less. make sure that if there is a way to reduce text, for instance, you are saying that your core value, you have 20 core values of 10 core values as a brand, and each of the core value have description under them, and you have listed them in the body of the document. Now, there is possibility that I will not stay too long on that page to go through all the value, all your core values and get the message. But there is a way you can actually use graphic organizers. There is something we call graphic organizers that are more visually appealing. The essence is that you want to get readership. Now, so you use some key things like graphic organizers to organize the journey, explaining or capturing that content. You have 10 value, or let's say value proposition or core value. There are 10. They have descriptions under them. And the description sometimes could be like 5 or 10 line of text. People will not have the time. So the best thing you can do, you capture them. So because the graphic organizer is appealing and it's attractive, people may stay longer on that page, because while they are staying there, the beauty, that is the look and feel, can keep them there. The organization of the content can keep them there. So what you try to do is to ensure that you reduce the number of text. There are situations where you have a one page full of text. You can reduce it to just images alone. Minimalistic, it's also one of the simplistic and minimal design are also part of where the information design industry is also moving into currently, because now we have so much of people want you to visualize the data, the content, so that it appeals. In the first place, what attracts people to want to read more on the content is when the document or the every entire document is attractive. So what some of the things we do is to ensure that instead of writing the text, is there other way we can organize it graphically to make it more appealing? So some of those things are things that we play around with. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So we have people. Emmanuel, hi, hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. So wherever you're joining us from, this is Upskilling 5 million African freelancers in 5 years, and the topic for today is information design. Now, I want you to share the link wherever you are joining us from, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. All right. So just share the link so that your contact list can hear and understand and have access to this free information and career path that we're talking about today. So, Mr. Johnson, tell us, what is information design?
Okay, so information design, it's a way that we represent information in a more visual way to help to give easy access to the understanding of the content. So visually representing content to promote easy understanding, easy access, and clarity. So you make information simple for reader by integrating visual aids and all of that. So there are different definitions out there, but application based on application. So it is representing content or data visually to aid understanding and accessibility of the content.
We have a question from Bolaji Adeni, and he says, can a creative person get the skill on information design, and how?
Okay, so because you're already a creative person, or you have more qualification to even to delve into this career path. So it means that so now there are certain things that are required. You can learn information design. It's not an inborn skill. Anybody can be whether creative or non-creative, you can be, as long as you have the passion to simplify. It's part of, so information design is also a part of communication design. So because what we are trying to do is to simplify information for the sake of communication and understanding. So um so if you have flair to help people understand something better, you can learn this skill. If you have flair to simplify complicated things, you can learn this skill. So you only want to break things down to the simplest or bare minimum for promoting understanding, you can actually learn this skill. So back to your question, can a creative person learn this skill? Yes. In fact, you are more qualified to learn this skill. Now, how do you learn this skill? Yeah. So now, being an information designer is a combination of various skills. Number one, writing. You need to learn and know a bit of professional writing. So professional writing, talking like things like business writing. You know, you must have some understanding of writing. So there is a difference between graphic design and information design. Graphic design, you are typically just visualizing something, component, you are designing logo. But in information design, you can hear the word information design. You're actually working with information. You are making information readable, accessible, and understandable. So you need to have an understanding of the content, and you need to have an understanding of the users. So there is
Okay.
a part of information design that is user or audience analysis. The first thing you want to find out, who will use this document, who will use this information. So you also need to have an understanding of, okay, what is the message being conveyed here? And sometimes you may even be the one to write the information yourself. So I've seen situations where sometimes I know, like I said, I do pitch deck. I do. So sometimes when people reach out to me and say they want to do pitch deck, I ask them, okay, what type of business? I ask them, who are your investor? Who are you sending the pitch deck to? They say, oh, these people. I say, okay. Now, when I have this understanding, I have understanding of their product and everything. So sometimes I can write the pitch deck, or sometimes they've already sent their content. Well, we just visualize it for them. So in that case, the best thing to learn, you already are creative, so you need to familiarize yourself with professional writing, and also you also need to familiarize yourself with visualization skills. Like how do you, so you see a content, a piece of content. The question you're asking yourself is that how do I simplify or visualize this thing? So somebody just sent you a list of, they say, our traction. Now, in business, when they say traction, traction shows what we have done, what we are doing, what we've achieved, where we are coming from, where we have been. Now, they send you a list, those kind of data, and they ask you to visualize it for them. Now, instead of you saying, traction, and then you say 13 customers, we had 13 customers in 6 months, or we have 13,000 customers in 6 months, we've accomplished 27 projects in 6 months. So instead of listing it like that in text format, as an information designer, you want to think about what is the best way to visualize this content such that you can give a snapshot, like instead of reading. I don't have the time to read, but if I look at this, I can understand what you are saying with icons and all that. So you familiarize yourself with visualization skill, familiarize yourself with writing skill, familiarize yourself with formatting skill. Formatting skill has to do with how does your text look on your page? How does the page align together? The consistencies and all of that, the principles of documentation, all of those things, and then you practice. So you prototype as well. Okay, so you see fine document people like McKinsey, their report. You can look at people like PwC, their report. You can look at tons and tons and thousands of reports out there. When you look at it, you take look at the from beginning to the end. You look at the font, the typography, you look at the layout, you look at the text, alignment, organization of the document. So as you play around with this, or the best part, you can intern under in a company. You can go in as an intern in a company where you can actually learn. But I think you can also get some courses. It's not very common in, I don't know. It's like I said, it's an emerging career path. So
That's the
I've
next
had
question I was going to ask you. That from your experience, all right?
I
You've been
think
in remote
okay,
work, freelance.
okay. I think
Yes.
Mr. Yosh should provide this information. He actually has a very very laudable brochure on this program. In the ongoing mentorship program, I think we invited him for a masterclass for those who are taking digital marketing, creative writing, and content development. They were able to take class with him, and we understood that this is very important. Okay, so please provide your information. I can see some questions there. So people want to know how to start from the elementary part so that they can be able to
Okay.
reach out to you.
Okay. Now, from the last stream that just finished, at least I had a few people that showed interest in my master class. One of them is currently an intern with me now in our company document design lab. So, and we are currently running a course, a 3-month course on information design and data visualization. So, a 2 days a week course. So now, why I am doing all this is because it's a new career path and it's an interesting career path. Okay, but there are no structured places to learn this course or this in Nigeria and also globally too. There are a few now, so there are a few courses just springing up on data visualization and
But
information
Mr.
design.
Johnson,
People are
the question I
saying
want
that
to ask, the question is there even a market for information design? Not just in Nigeria, on the
yes,
global
there's
scale.
market for it.
Is there a market for it?
Now on the global scale, there is so much market for it. So now, what happened is this. You see, information design, data visualization, they are part of the bigger graphic design umbrella, but they are a branch of it. They're a branch
Okay.
of it. So then, but they are already taking their own course. For instance, now, data visualization market value at us between 2017 rather, to date was over how much now? Was over I noted that somewhere on my note. It was um over I think it was over 9 billion or something. I noted it somewhere. It was over 9 billion. So global scale, because it's an emerging industry. Okay. However, it's very much needed because now, since the era of since the coronavirus and everything, you can see that more organizations are moving into digital documentation than physically printed document. So now, and apart from that, you see people like the UN and some financial institution, the tech company, and all of that. They are always releasing analytics reports, and they are always their industry trends and all that. There are companies, especially currently, I told you I work in a consulting firm. Now, I say if you have passion to become an analyst, either business analyst in any industry, this skill is a must for you because you deal with information, you deal with data, and you don't send data in text. You don't say the industry is this and in text. You must be able to use visualizers. You can use components like graph to visualize your content. You can use different tools to visualize your content. So what I'm trying to say here is that this is a very much needed skill. Presentation design is one of it. Presentation design, you can design. So if I give you a presentation pages full of text, can you make it? I had a meeting with someone yesterday, and the person wants to go for a pitch with some investor, and he has this nice idea on what he wants to present. Now, he called me, said, can we have a meeting? Imagine we had over 1 hour where he was explaining what he wants on the page. And now my own job is to visualize it for him, to represent those things in a way that is investor ready. So as long as there are investors and there are businesses that need investment, the content design and information designers, visualizers, information data visualization or visualizers will be in high demand, even coming up. And you can also see that the number of startups are increasing, especially in Africa. And these startups, they need some certain validation documentation. They need documentation across board. They need business plan. They need reports. They need to be able to document their report, their performance report. They need to be able to document their pitch deck, their proposals, and there are tons and tons of this. Industry matrix and trends, all these things are out there. So there is a need. In fact, there are not enough. Graphic designers have been doing all the work, but it's not enough. They can't do. Do you understand? They cannot current. They can't because as an information designer, I have a bit of an analysis skill. I can analyze the content and I can know which of the content I need to visualize. So the market even the market for it in Nigeria, let me tell you something. The company I was working for, the consulting company I was working for, they make a proposition to me. They said, let's partner with you. Want to invest in this business. Imagine the company you are still gainfully employed full time are now telling you that we want to let us co-author or co-found a business for documentation with you. So to tell you, it's a consulting firm that one of the popular consulting firm in Nigeria, and they said we would like to start this. So to tell you, they saw the value, and that is the same company that will tell me that. In fact, when they have major businesses or project going documentation, they send it to me to price. In fact, this is just to tell you that I'm no longer working with the firm, but one of the director of the company called me yesterday. The same company called me yesterday and had over 1 hour session with me and telling me they need to just visualize 3 pages of their pitch deck that they sent to for a founder, for some team of investors. So is it a needed skill? Is a very much needed skill. So anybody that take advantage of this, because there's this the advantage of the first movers, the first entrance. It's always there. When before the skill becomes so popular, everybody's doing it. And I will talk about the bill. You see, later maybe we can talk about how you add the price. So you should have an idea of how it is being priced. You will understand. Okay, is this an industry that I can? You can start light. So because you don't have to end everything you are doing. It's something you can start on the side. And when you grow clientele, people calling you for proposal. As I was going into this meeting, somebody just messaged me. 2 people just messaged me. One saying that somebody said you can take me from 0 to 100 in documentation. Please, can I have a robust conversation with you? I said, I have a meeting. I will get back to you. While I was on that, somebody messaged me and said, I have an urgent proposal to send. I need you to help me out. And I said, I'm in a meeting. Say it's urgent. I had to drop the meeting and quickly attend to her and pick a call. So there are a lot of startups. Somebody reached out to me just last week and said she wants a proposal sent to so and so, and I give her the price she couldn't pay. But I could have done it for her, but I have my hand is full already. So I'm trying to say that we have a lot of startups. Startups need documentation. They need business documents. We have mid-level, or the growth stage companies that want to do reports, annual reports, project reports, all tons of reports. And this report is not text. It's not in the era of text, and story have gone. People are now looking forward to visually appealing documentation. And all of that is what we cover. We even cover business writing in our course, in our information design data visualization course, because as a professional, you must be able to write as well. So it's not just graphics. You have to be able to write. Somebody, for instance, when we are doing, okay, thank you. I'm saying, I'm giving out too much. Okay. So
no, you're not giving out too much. Like, you just a right dose of information. You're not giving out too much.
You should let him answer the question on the screen, right?
There's a question here.
Okay,
it said,
what's the question?
do we now say that information design is one of the newest digital skill in the digital marketing industry? How is it different from content writing? Please respond to that.
Okay. Now, information design and data visualization, they go hand in hand. So because they go hand in hand, yes, is one of the emerging digital skills that is also important in the, maybe not in digital marketing industry, but across industry. So as an information designer, you are useful not just to one industry, you are useful across all sectors and industries. Health sector, insurance sector, financial services, consulting services, any hospitality industry across board. Why? Because all of them deal with information. They send out information to users. So, especially in healthcare industry, there are tons and tons of report and data. The healthcare they churn out to the open source. So you can even there are companies that they're all in the habit of doing newsletters, doing white papers. It's your job. For instance, Central Bank of Nigeria can say they want to contract their reports production to you as an information designer. You visualize their report. You do all those things for them. Yeah, so it's not limited to one industry. That is the advantage. You are multi. It's in high demand across all the industry. Then the second thing is, yes, is it different from content writing? Yeah, see, now content writing is not enough. You can write content, especially when you are dealing with a specific audience. Content writing is a part of information design. You write the content and you make the content visually appealing. So they can go hand in hand. So you can be an information, because for instance, if you work with a tech company that they're producing products, they need you as an information designer to do what we call information architecture on the product, to curate the end user documentation on the product. So it's your job. So if you work with a tech company as an information designer, you will be curating. So you will be telling the story of the product in your document. So any document going out, you will curate, you will design. That is what. And if you work in a company where you are supposed to be producing client-facing documents like proposals, like business plan, like pitch deck, like project report, that is your job right there. So it's not limited to digital marketing. In fact, it's a skill for every professional. But somebody can make a career out of it. I don't know if I answered that question.
Oh wow, that's amazing. This one here says, Mary says, can I say, or should I say, that both graphic and information design are focusing on the same page, since the focus is to create or communicate the product or service.
Okay, um, so graphic design, I've over time always tried to tell people that they are a bit different. Okay, but it's a component of information design. However, information design, so if you look at it in both ways, information design is a branch of graphic design as a bigger umbrella, but
Okay.
is a distinctive career path that requires some basic understanding in graphic design. Now, the aim of information design, it's like you said, is to communicate content in a more clear way. Okay, but it is a bit more user or centric than graphic design. Yeah, So okay, here is it. When you do information design, basically, you are graphic design. You're creating images. You are creating icons, components. But in information design, you are communicating a story. You're telling a story. And I can tell a complete 100% story by, by a whole lot. So I visualize the relationship between my laptop and activities that I do every day with my laptop. So you see, in information design, you are talking about infographics, that is information graphics. You are using all of those things to explain. So I can talk about, for instance, I want to talk about the bread production or demand in Lagos, the consumption of bread in Nigeria. I can use infographic to explain how people consume bread without so much text. So that is why you see there are some reports that you just see. It's just showing you infographics Now, so but that infographic is a combination of text and graphics or graphic images, typography, and all that. So what I can say is that information design is more oriented towards communication, while graphic design is a bit more oriented towards creating of image creation and all of those icons and all those things. So but you don't need to be a graphic designer to learn information design, honestly. So there are different tools people use. You can use to do to implement infographics or information design. But because of the corporate landscape, I don't think there's an executive in the corporate business world that you send a file that is Illustrator that will be easy for them to operate. But you see, PowerPoint is so I teach my course using PowerPoint. The reason
Okay.
why I do that is because it's easy for anybody across board to use, and it's a must. In the business landscape. There is no, as we are talking, there are over 500 million users of PowerPoint across the business environment. So people use it every day. But InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop are not corporate tools that people use every day in the business place. You have to specially learn those skills. But PowerPoint, the Microsoft package is what people use every day. So I try to use that so that when a client sends me a job and I finished it and they say they want the source file, I can send it to them. They can edit after giving instruction on how to edit and all of that. So it's easy for them to access and all that. So you understand me? So that's why I say you don't even need to be a graphic designer to be able to learn this course. Okay? They're communicating, telling story with infographics and text. Yes, like the person said here. So that is it. So it's a bit, they are in the same industry. They are the same line of design, but they are different branches of design. Information design is more towards communication than,
Okay. Now
you
there
know.
was another question somewhere. Someone mentioned another question, and the person said that she has been involved in content writing, but has also been involved in information design, which is what you've been explaining. Now, without realizing what she was doing, she's been doing
Okay.
both, everything. Now she's
Okay.
asking, is that
Okay.
a generic name for someone who does everything, both content writing, both graphic design, both information design? Apparently, she does everything. Now, is that like a general name for someone who occupies that space? Is like a title or something?
So the general name is information design. So
Oh,
she's
really?
an information designer. Yeah, she's an information designer. So she
Interesting.
writes and she writes and she can visualize her content. So meaning that she can use graphical tools to visualize that content. So she's an information designer by profession. So because to be a professional information designer, you have a bit of writing skill. You have a bit of graphic skill. You are creative. Okay, so and so she can also be a data visualization expert. But that
Okay.
means that she has upskilled her information design to that point where she can use other tools to visualize, other than she can use other tools to visualize complex data, and so that is also a part of it. So she's an information designer, but she just needs to add a bit of data visualization skill to make her job more robust.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now you said a lot about information design and the different, aspects of it. Now, what are the major keys, the most important part of information design?
Okay. The most important part of information design is understanding the user of the information. Users are
Okay.
the most important part of it. Everything we do as information designer is not done for the fun of it. It must begin from what does the reader need to know.
Okay.
So when we have, so we need to first distill the purpose of this design. What is the purpose? What are we trying to achieve? So the
Okay.
moment that is clear, the information we want to convey to the user is clear, is understandable. Okay, so sometimes you have to do content test, whereby after you are done it, you subject it for critics to see what, if without explanation, there are certain things you will do to make your documents or information design effective. So if you have gone through all those things and you send it for review and it passed the review, or you get some, okay, can this place is not clear. Now, because the essence is that the person reading that document must be able to understand what the message it is you are trying to convey, and should be able to identify what is the most important message you are conveying among every other ones. So what is the most important thing you want me to know on this page? By the time I get to the next page, what is the most important thing you want me to know? And then the content flow, because you are telling a story. So you are telling a story. As a designer, you must think from the end, from the beginning to the end. Do you understand? You must think from beginning to the end, and then now go. So you have finished the design before starting it. So sometimes you need to do some layout sketching and how you want the page, how you want the information on page, every page to be visualized and structured. So it is always the most important thing is the user. The user guides your approach. So based on, so that is why we say there's a part of information design that is user or audience analysis. You must find out who will be using this document. What is the expected outcome? What kind of action should they take after this? So that will help you lay out your content in such a way that that purpose is achieved at the end of your course, at the end of the document. You understand?
Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Mm.
Okay. All right, let's see if we have more questions. This one is saying, okay, Esther, thank you for that information. Now, for someone who's new, who wants to begin a career and start a career in information design, how would they start? And how long would it take them to acquire the skill or upskill their skills in order to become, experts and become information designers?
First, it's interest.
Okay.
You must desire, you must have the interest to, is, see, sometimes I am, now, somebody had a meeting with me yesterday and wants me to visualize 3 pages of a slide, you understand, of a presentation. So they have the information. Now, I am thinking, I have been thinking since yesterday. So one of the most important part of our work is research. You must know how to do research. So I have been researching since yesterday. As I'm talking now, I'm still conceptualizing how I want to lay out that stuff. Sometimes just to visualize one page or piece of content, it can take days. The creative process is not that easy, but what makes it easy? What makes it easy is the fact that you have a routine or a process flow that you use to create your content. Okay, um, so what I will say is that have interest. You must be willing to pay the price to go the extra mile. You don't. It's not just to write. Don't just put content on the page. It's not enough. You want to think about your users. How will they? How can the user extract the most important message I'm trying to convey in this piece? If not, how can I aid my user to understand what I'm trying to say in a way that those 3 things I mentioned earlier will be achieved? So, other thing you must do is that first familiarize yourself with good information design work and project out there. See what is obtainable, see what guys are doing. Open your mind to the realities, and as you take that journey, you will begin to see that when you want to now visualize a particular content, something will come to your mind. Sometime when I'm working, I have read tons and seen tons of documents. I just see a piece of content. I need to visualize. The first thing that comes to my mind is that I have visualized something like this before. I have seen a content that was something that was visualized before and it fits into what I'm doing. So I start looking for that as for inspiration. So sometimes you get inspiration from other projects, other people's work they've done. You see, you learn, and then you can also prototype. You can also all sort of things first. So get yourself acquainted with the industry and projects. By so doing, you can now begin to learn the tools of the trade.
Wow, that's amazing. Someone did okay. I saw a question earlier on. Okay, we'll go on. We'll go on
So
with
there was
that.
a message from one Pokuola.
Yeah.
I would love
Voila,
to,
yes.
yeah, if we
Okay,
can see
so
that.
so that means all that being said, that means we'll also be expecting you as a mentor on Source in Business mentorship program, right?
Yes, that conversation is in the pipeline. So I
Isn't
think
it?
yes.
Because we want it complete. We want it
Eh?
complete. We want it
Yes,
complete, and
is in the pipeline.
we want to see it on Source in Business. I don't know what it is you need to do. I don't
Okay,
know what it is.
okay,
You need to decide. And
okay.
you need to come on board.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ayo, let me say a few things. The other time you said something like you mentioned something like your hands are food for now. Um, Let me quickly correct that. Your hands are not full.
Okay.
Your business model has capacity to take as much. One of the reasons
Okay.
why we brought you on board in the middle of the mentorship was because we noticed
Hmm.
the opportunities available. Like you said, now you have so many jobs and you can't do all the jobs. So let me first of all tell you that by the end of second stream, we are going to be giving you nothing less than 100 interns that can join your organization to help you and do some of your jobs remotely. Okay, so that's number
Now,
one.
Miss, okay.
Yes, they would work for you, you know, from different parts of Africa. You don't have to see them. You don't need office space, you know, to host them. So that's number one.
Okay,
Number
of
two
course.
is that we're going to actually create a pathway for information design on our program so that those who want to focus on it can be able to do that. Although we know that there is a lot of relationship between creative writing, content development, and information
Hmm.
design, but I insist that it's actually very peculiar and being able to focus from the scope of information design give a freelancer an opportunity to be able to look at this unique side of developing document, specifically for startups. Okay, so we should be able to achieve that come next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I
Okay.
thank you. That
Right.
works. That works. And like I mentioned earlier, the reason for starting up a training for this trade is because even for me at the time I was looking to hire people, I couldn't see people to hire, so I had to start training people. Honestly, so and it's because the industry is emerging in Nigeria. It's not popular. So we have web developers, we have graphic designer, but we don't have professional information designers that are that is a career path for people. And honestly, people can learn and earn from it, you know. So maybe before we end, I can even give a few, insight into how the industry and products and services are being priced so that you understand that the industry, it may not be as big as others, but it has the potential to become a big one.
Okay. All right. So, the last question, or one of the last questions we'll have for you before we let you go, is that you can also drop your questions. Drop your questions if you have any, so we can ask Mr. Johnson your questions. Okay.
Maybe Mr.
So,
Ayo should give us
what
some
would be
motivation, talking about.
before he gives us that motivation, what would you say to anybody both in Africa who are trying to launch their career in information design?
Good.
From an expert, from not an expert. from the point of view of an expert, what would you say to anyone in Africa who's trying to launch a career in information design? Do they also experience the roadblocks and challenges other, remote workers experience in the corporate space?
Yeah. So okay. So while I prepare for that to answer that, I'm actually interested in getting the Kupo last message. It was comprehensive. If you can still get a hold of it, so we
Okay.
can. I want to see what the person is asking. Okay. So yes. So what I will say to somebody willing to start a career in this industry is that you have to, number one, you need to you need to first and foremost ensure that you are willing to learn the tools of the trade.
Okay.
Take your time, learn and rehearse. Now you don't have to start out as, for instance, now when a person sends for minimalistic information design project, when someone send and say, okay, I have my slide and content, I just want it visualized.
Mm.
Now they've done a bit, they just want it to be redesigned. It can range from 12,000 naira Nigerian currency to 15 to 25,000 naira per page,
Okay.
depending on how complex the visualization is. And for instance, if you are handling projects, so now let me not deviate now. So if you want to get into this, you first need to familiarize yourself with the different documentations out there and let people know that you can do these things. So pitch deck, you need to know what industry and what kind of documentation needs do they have. Now, for healthcare services and all that, they need more of information design and data visualization to be able to visualize their reports, their findings, and all of that. You can work in collaboration with other research organizations. There are people that all they do is market research, due diligence. Now, when they find out this data, they need an information designer to be able to make the content, the research findings appealing. So if you know any company that are into data mining, content mining, they need an information designer. So the first thing you need to do is familiarize yourself with the different documentation needs across industries and the requirement of those documents. So when somebody puts you on a call and say, we want to create a project report, you should not be a novice to what is the structure of a project report. How should a project report? What are the components that must be in a project report? Or a pitch deck. We want to visualize our pitch deck, especially our traction or our traction, our business model. Can you make it a bit more visual and all of that? So you must have an understanding of across board all these things that then when you start familiarizing yourself, start learning how to visualize the different components. For instance, there are industry standards or there are information design requirements on how you can visualize timelines, things that has to do with timeline. When you are talking about timeline, there's a way you visualize it. When you are talking about there are other frameworks that are out there you can use and borrow. When you're talking about, okay, you want to capture a company portfolio, how should I capture a portfolio? What should be within their portfolio? So you need to read wide across different type of documentation, especially corporate documentation. Now you can now start going to industry specific ones, like if you are dealing with IT, what kind of documentation do IT company do
Mm.
for as per end user documentation? So you have all of those knowledge, and then you now start reacting, practicing, visualizing specific data within that. So if we say that M&M, for instance, M&M organization, they in their first quarter sales, the first quarter sales for 2022, they had 7 products, and across the 7 products, they have certain results, sales report, and all of those kind of things. They now send you an Excel, and they want you to visualize it. So you can start practicing with all of those things. How do I visualize across 3 months and across 7 products? So you are looking at the variables, you're looking at the matrix, the figure, the data that you need to represent. You can choose what is the best graph or organizer to use so you can practice across different documents, different content, and begin to react if you already know how to do it. And another thing is, for a starter, you can sign up for a program. Sign up for a program.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm currently running a course on information design. It's a 3-month course. So you can sign up, you can learn, familiarize yourself. The country or the school running this course, even globally, are few, honestly. Even myself, at the time I tried to get a course to see if I can get a structure course and all of that. But because I've learned based on experience, I've been working and doing so, and also see what other guys are doing, so I learn from them and all that. So as far this, I saw one recently. It's even a 1 year, or 3 years, or I can't remember how many years of course. So you have to learn that. But like I said, you can take a borrow from some of the things people like us. I'm not the best in the industry, but in Nigeria, I've not found anyone. But I
That's a
cannot say I'm
large
the best.
market.
I
That
can.
is a huge market. It's
So do you
huge.
understand? Do you understand? So maybe when we find ourselves, we can start up an association for information design. So, or maybe after we've trained enough people, we can.
We are building
Or
a
so you understand
pathway
what
for
I'm
you
saying?
on the sourcing freelance platform. Okay, so we can now build that community together. Right?
I get you, Mr. Femi. All
Okay.
right.
We also have this question here from Dijart. He said, "How important is a template in documentation presentation?"
How important is it to use the use of a template in document presentation? Yes, you can use templates, okay? But the most important thing is that there are principles that you must ensure that your template does not distract from your message. It must enhance the message. So if you sometimes I also use, if I see a template that I know, okay, I can take a few borrow from what they've done, but sometimes hardly before you will see a template that completely fits into what you are trying to do. So sometimes you need to customize. You can learn from what they've done, but it may not completely, you know, align with your content style, the information you're trying to do. So the most important thing is that ensure that the template you are using or you want to use align. For instance, if you go on the whatever app, whether it's PowerPoint you are using, and you want to visualize maybe a set of data, and you go to the chart and you click on chart, you will see different charts there. But you can also choose to create your own manually if what you see there does not fully convey some creative that you are trying to add. So you can create from scratch. So you can use template, but if the template does, you don't have to confine yourself or restrict yourself to that template. You can redesign and you can reuse. There's no problem.
I hope that answered your question. Okay. The Jart graphics. I hope that answered your question. All right, Mr. Ayo Johnson, thank you so much for being a part of today's edition on Upskilling 5 million African freelancers in 5 years. We really appreciate your presence and the wealth of knowledge and information you've passed on to us. The discovery of the information design is such a great one. Okay, so you can contact Mr. Ayola on 08032269393. All right, contact him and get on your career path. And very soon, this particular course, this particular skill will be available on SourceIn Business Mentorship Program. So you can then, join us on that one. And with that, we'll say thank you so much. We have come to the end of today's edition
Thank
on
you.
upskilling 5 million African freelancers in 5 years. And the topic has been a career in information design. We'll be back next week, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Do keep it date with us. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be awesome. We'll be having another guest and I'll be giving you loads and loads of information on your career path and the path you need to choose in freelancing as remote work. All right. It's going to be awesome. Okay. Now, don't forget to connect with us on social media on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube as well is a SourceIn Business, SourceIn Business, a SourceIn Business. And if you are interested in getting on the new stream will begin in the first week in June. You want to acquire a skill, you want to upskill, you want to have access to free mentors, you want to have access to free tutors, then you should get on sourceinbusiness.com and register. Guess what? It is absolutely free. It is free. The other stream, we're concluding the other stream is going to end. The closing ceremony is going to be on the 28th of May. That is the ending of this month. We'll conclude that and we'll begin a new stream first week in June. It's going to be fabulous. All right. So come on, come all, call your friends, share the link. You want to get on remote work. You want to build a career as a freelancer in remote work. Get on the platform, register, and have a fabulous life. My name is Ogie Mark, and I'll see you next week. Have a good day.